did Mark Hamill just made his peace with Jake Skywalker? I mean, Luke Skywalker? What's up, everybody? Today I'm here to talk about a very interesting article that I came across today, in which Mark Hamill explains how he found the tragic side of Luke Skywalker, pretty much talking about how he made peace with the character's arc. But before I get into this, I'd like to say a big thank you to Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers. He gave me a shout out on his last live stream, and that's really awesome. This is something that Jeremy does not have to do, but yet he chooses to do, not only for myself, but for other YouTube channels out there. And I think that's really great. That's very generous. So sending all my love to Geeks and Gamers and everyone doing an awesome job over there. Okay, so let's get into this article. This same subject is actually being addressed in a lot of articles out there, but the one that I'm reading from is the one posted on Sci-Fi Wire. And it starts like this. It's been less than a year since The Last Jedi arrived in theaters, and it's already clear that the film's treatment of Luke Skywalker is going to be one of the most debated elements of Star Wars mythos for years to come. Oh, for sure. That's for sure. Writer-director Rian Johnson's bold, divisive decisions for the character set the stage for a fan debate that's not likely to die down anytime soon. And if Johnson's choices for the character weren't enough to keep that going, then Mark Hamill's comments about his iconic role certainly are. I mean, we all know that Mark Hamill, he was very open about how he did not agree with the whole idea that they went with Luke Skywalker. And we know very much why they've done that, right? It's because right now it's all about the new characters and pushing these new characters forward. However, what the stupid thing about it that I don't get it is that this should have been a movie about the old original characters passing on the torch, and not simply just a movie where the old characters are being destroyed so people can like the new ones. And this is what I don't understand. It should have been a movie where we would really see this master Jedi, you know, with an epic ending. However, unfortunately, we didn't get that. But let's see what else they're saying here. Though he ultimately embraced Johnson as a filmmaker, The Last Jedi as a whole, Hamill has been vocal about his misgiving regarding Luke's direction in the film. After writers Lawrence Kasdan and J.J. Abrams envisioned Luke as an exiled Jedi and failed teacher in The Force Awakens in 2015, Johnson has to figure out exactly what the exile meant and why it seemed so complete. The answer he arrived at was that Luke Skywalker closed himself off from the Force and retired to Act 2. Ben Solo turned to the dark side, burning Luke's new Jedi temple and slaughtering many of his students. To me, this whole closing yourself off from the Force is the stupidest idea ever. Okay? Because I don't think the motivation that they gave us to the whole thing with Kylo Ren, it was not nearly enough, you know. In fact, to this day, I still don't know why did he turn himself from the Jedi the way that he did, you know. It just completely does not make sense. Like, I gotta say, like, before I have compared Luke Skywalker to Superman, you know. I believe that the way that Superman is to DC, Luke Skywalker is to Star Wars. You cannot just pretend that this character does not exist or this character is not important, okay? Because clearly they're paying the price right now, okay? Luke Skywalker has been the face of Star Wars, you know. It's always been known as the Skywalker saga, okay? And if they wanted to end that, they should have done it in an epic way, okay? The way that they went about it, it was just dumb. But okay, let's see what else it's saying here. Luke grew to believe that both himself and the Jedi were part of an overinflated legend that had failed the galaxy repeatedly, and that everyone would be better off without them. So he shut himself away until Rey arrived to convince him to join the fight one last time, which she failed, right? Still so dumb. The plot line still baffles my mind. How the plot of that movie was just so freaking dumb, okay? First of all, even Rey, they managed to destroy, right? Because I was expecting at least that she was going to be... I was super excited to see her being trained by the master, Luke Skywalker. In fact, I went to that movie, you know, even though I didn't love The Force Awakens, I was completely open and on board with Rey and Finn, and even Paul. And then you got there, and then it just got all your... You know, Luke Skywalker is a character that, to begin with, always inspired hope, you know. It was a character that, when I was a kid, I used to play. I was Luke one day, I was Leia the other day, and I was Han. I was always switch from one character to the other, because these characters, they had meaning, okay? And they just don't know how to carry the storylines of this character forward. They don't understand that they don't have to destroy the character in order to let the fandom let go of the characters, because we understand passage of time, and no one is stupid enough to not get that. And I also do not want to hear any stupid ideas that, oh, Mark Hamill is too old to do fight scenes or whatever. I mean, seriously, have you ever seen a little movie called The Lord of the Rings? I mean, look at Gandalf. Gandalf is one of the most kick-ass characters, you know, after Aragorn, you know. I mean, are you kidding me? It's just really no excuse, okay? It's absolutely no excuse. I mean, they should have given the character a proper development, okay? A proper arc. But let's see what else this article is saying. Hamill had to deal not just with the decision for his character, but also with the knowledge that George Lucas' original idea... Oh my God, I know. I heard about George's original idea, and it's just... And this is what we got. How annoying. So if you haven't heard George's idea for Luke, obviously he wanted to have him train Leia. We do know the whole thing about the wheels that he wanted to bring in, but I believe that that was all to expand the whole idea of the Force. But obviously, I'm pretty sure that if they had followed his idea, at least if they didn't want to talk about the expansion of the Force with the whole wheels, they could at least they could have at least kept his ideas for how Luke, Han, and Leia would go forward, okay? But they didn't do that. So George Lucas' original ideas for a sequel trilogy and a somewhat tweaked final scenes in The Force Awakens may have placed him on a very different path. He also had to reckon with his own feelings that Luke would never give up. And I'm completely with him, okay? The Luke that I know and grew up with would never have given up. And this is not about a character, people not being able to accept change, okay? Or a character being, oh, people cannot see a broken character because it's so, what's the word? Poetic. Whatever, okay? If it was only to see a truly broken character, I probably would have been okay with it, okay? Like a couple of months ago, I made a video where I compared Luke Skywalker to Logan. And if you have seen that movie, and if you have not, I will spoil a little bit right now, because someone got mad to me last time because I kind of spoiled it and I haven't seen it. But anyways, but my comparison is that movie is pretty much about a broken Logan, okay? But what's the difference of that movie and this movie is that Logan is actually not a character that is made fun of. And the way that he was written, it actually added to the complexity of the character. And towards the end, he went with the fight. He did not run away from it. Not to mention that we have had a lot of Wolverine doing crazy action scenes, but we still have not had that with Luke Skywalker. It's been 30 years, okay? We've been dreaming with this Luke Skywalker doing all these amazing things with books and all this other stuff. And seriously, they're going to bring him back and not even give the fan a satisfying battle sequence even. I mean, it's just... that was a huge mistake. But let's see what else they're saying here. Then at least deal with the warrior to... Oh, what else? I got lost, sorry. That despite his failures with Ben, he would find a way to, if not redeem his nephew, then at least deal with him warrior to warrior. So this is what Mark Hamill thought that the character should do, which is pretty much obvious, you know, to every single person that understands storyline. It's an internal struggle of a character that's been in a life for more than 4 decades, and one that Hamill has been very open about since The Last Jedi release. And also there is a thing that you have to think about it. No, Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher, they've been these characters for their entire life. Carrie Fisher, it's been Princess Leia. Like, she made shows about it. She wrote a book about it. Princess Leia was pretty much, Star Wars was her life. It's the same thing with Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill is not only be very present with the fans, he is a fan himself, and he's pretty much, this is Luke Skywalker's his most iconic role. And yet they decide not to listen to him. So that's a huge mistake. That said, Hamill seems to have made kind of peace with Luke's direction, particularly now that he feels the loss of screen sister on real life friend Carrie Fisher removed something from Star Wars from him that he'll never be able to recapture. And that's the saddest part of this whole mess that Rian Johnson created, because it's so true. I understand that what they're saying here, he's made the peace because now pretty much the gang is no longer there. Who are we? What should we be excited for? Han is no longer there, okay? Leia passed away in real life. They might recast her, they might not recast her. I don't know. J.J. Abrams will have to create magic in order to restore what has been broken. So I completely understand Mark Hamill's idea of making peace with it, because it's not something that it can just be undone, okay? We are never going to get to see the band get together, and that's why I think the fandom is it's so upset, because think about it, the only way we'll ever see these characters back together again would be with CGI, okay? Or if they recast Leia, but it's not going to be the same. I mean, obviously, I do want to see I want to see a nice send-off to the character of Leia, because obviously she was left alive in The Last Jedi. But how are they going to do it? I mean, who knows? Let's see what else Mark Hamill is saying here. It is tragic. I'm not a method actor, but one of the techniques a method actor will use is to try to use real-life experiences to relate whatever fictional scenario he's involved in, he said. The only thing I could think of, given the screenplay that I read, was that I was one of the Beatles generation. All you need is love, peace and love. I thought at the time when I was a teenager, by the time we get in power, there will be no more war. There will be no racial discrimination, and pot will be legal. So I'm 1 for 3. When you think about it, my generation is a failure. The world is unquestionably worse now than it was then. So this is what Mark Hamill is saying. Which, again, he's just, now, we know he didn't really like the way The Last Jedi went. However, we also have to remember that Star Wars was the best type of escapism. We went to a galaxy far, far away. We fought evil, and we went back feeling inspired and feeling like heroes. And the other great thing that I also thought that these characters presented, they were a great role model, even for. And this is another thing that it's really, I really don't understand that way of thinking. If they want to preach a certain agenda, right, and they want to have to say that men are evil and blah 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 blah, shouldn't them at least give men a good role model at least? So they should say, oh, you look at this guy, I should try to be more like this guy. Not even that is present in The Last Jedi. They talk so much about equality, but where is the equality on The Last Jedi? I'm sorry, but it was a complete imbalance on that film, okay? Like, they have all the women being powerful, and they're not even likable characters. Why do they have to all have an attitude? Why could they not be more like Leia, the original Leia from the original trilogy? She was an awesome female character. I mean, we unfortunately didn't get any of that in the new films. It's really nothing to do with women. It's nothing to do with diverse. It's nothing to do with any of that, okay? And the media is just using shill stuff out there just to try to say, oh, the fans can't take this. Oh, the fan can't take that. I mean, just shut up already, okay? If you look at Rogue One, for instance, it's a very diverse film, okay? With a female lead, right? And yet, where is the backlash on that film? And if you look at the Rotten Tomatoes score, it kind of scored pretty high. The same thing with The Force Awakens, and Rey was the main character there, right? However, we still have all the original characters apart from Han Solo, but at the same time, the movie left people really wanting to see what's gonna happen now. How is Luke gonna deal with that and Leia? And then we get to The Last Jedi. Not even that is addressed. It's like Han never existed. No one even mentioned him, apart from Luke Skywalker briefly saying, "Where is Han?" It's a complete mess. But anyways, don't want to get worked up. Every time I keep talking about this film, it makes me mad. And then he continues. It's a dark answer, but an understandable one. That's what the article say. When it was released in 1977, Star Wars was a bright beacon of optimism in a cinematic landscape. And blah, 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 blah. So then they're talking a little bit about politics here, which is fine. But that's what they're not understanding, okay? We also know, because this came from George Lucas' mouth, that the original films, as well as the prequels, are heavily political. However, George Lucas was very smart about it. The movie is not about the politics. The movie is about the characters. And the politics are just blend in, and it's just part of the story. The problem with The Last Jedi is that there is no character or anyone that you can actually relate to. It's mostly about the politics and no longer about these characters. And what happened with The Last Jedi, it's completely sacrificed the story because they want to preach a certain agenda. They're not even doing it right. Are they all talking about equality? And there's no equality, there is no balance. Even the tone of the movie is completely upside down, with the whole jokes here and there, like they killed the mythos of the Force. It used to be something that you have to train to master it, and it's no longer that. Now, I've said it on another video, now it's like this: you get an app and the app says how to be a Jedi, and then you just press a button, boom, oh wait, I'm a Jedi now, okay? This is pretty much how Rey got her whole powers, no training, and she's like beating Luke Skywalker. None of it makes sense, it doesn't make sense. The movie doesn't make sense. They completely went away. It doesn't even look like Star Wars, apart from the rolling credits at the beginning. Okay? Like, seriously? Like, how are you gonna have the relationship of Padawan and Jedi is non-existent right now, okay? Even the fact that Rey doesn't respect Luke, okay? She beats him. Like, can you imagine a Padawan beating the Jedi Master? And that's not only it, Luke was supposed to be the Jedi Master, okay? Son of Vader. And that's the kind of portrayal that they give the fans. I mean, again, it should have been about passing the torch, and it should have been passing the torch in an epic way, because I truly believe that a lot of the fans were on board after The Force Awakens, even though they kill off Han, because we still have Luke Skywalker, and everyone was excited to see him train Rey and see how the story was going to go forward. But they destroyed it, all of that. They even managed to destroy BB-8. He was supposed to be this cute, innocent droid, and the movie he's like killing everyone. Die. Like, seriously? Even that Rian Johnson was able to destroy. And the problem is all Kathleen Kennedy approving all of this, because again, she is not a fan, and obviously this is the kind of movie, it looks like they're making movies that this is the kind of stuff that they want to do it, but they're not really thinking of the fans. And we heard that from Rian Johnson's mouth, right? They said they put themselves in a bubble because we're not supposed to do anything for the fans. Pretty much they're making films for themselves. Well, guess what? They're not having an audience, because whatever audience they're appealing to are not really delivering. People are not really buying the toys. People are not really buying the DVDs. Okay, but let's finish this article. If you love The Last Jedi and you rewatch the film with that quote in mind, perhaps it will deepen your experience. If you hate the film and rewatch it with that in mind, perhaps you will see a little more relevance in Luke than you previously thought. I disagree. I'm not going to see any of that. Either way, Hamill found something powerful that helped him to portray his hero's curtain call. So the article ends like that because it's talking a lot about the politics and things like that. But again, going back to that thing, like, the problem is that if you want to bring politics to any kind of film, first of all, politics is something that is always going to create argument, okay? Now, if there's one thing that really can destroy friendships and even create wars, is politics. And if you want to bring them to the film, you have to be very smart about it. And that's exactly what they didn't do, because they were completely not smart about it, okay? They completely disregard the original characters. They completely disregard the lore of Star Wars. They offended so many people. Not only people that about the social agenda, not only that, but the fact that they are not even able to put together a storyline that makes sense and it is balanced, because this movie is completely disturbing. You know, I sense the disturbers in the force, because that's what this movie was, you know. And unfortunately it was just a complete mess. And now this interview with Mark Hamill saying that he made his peace, it could also be another PR move, or some of trying to, you know, make peace between the fans, because obviously the fans were quoting Mark Hamill a lot, or the fact that he said that he was not he disagreed with the way that the character was written. So perhaps right now they're really seeing the whole damage, you know. I don't know why it took it so long. And it could be another PR move, so people could like listen to Mark Hamill and try to make peace with the character. But I'm sorry, I just don't see that happening. The problem that I have with the whole portrayal of Luke Skywalker is that he's such an important character. He was a character that inspired hope. He was a character, you know, that it was a good role model, not only for male audiences, but for female audiences as well. I loved and still do love Luke Skywalker. It's one of my favorite things to see when I go back and watch the original trilogy, and they took that all away. Instead of just having these original characters coming in and really passing the torch, they actually came in to make fun of all these characters, giving them all these stupid scenes, you know, having Luke Skywalker milking a sea cow for absolutely gag, having him throw his father's lightsaber like that, like it doesn't mean anything, and doesn't even give you an explanation why he's done with the Jedis, for instance. And this is what another thing that irritates me the most. There are so many reasons why he could have turned his back on the Jedi, for instance. We know the Jedis made huge mistakes. We know the Jedis always kind of have weird ways of seeing. They're kind of very strict at a certain point of views. And that's why Anakin was always struggling with the Jedis. And it would make sense if Luke had forced conversations with Vader, or if he learned from the books how the Jedi really failed. It would be a great explanation for why he would go so extreme to turn his back on even his sister. But not even that they were capable to telling us, right? They just give us no explanation, just expect people to just accept it as it is. And obviously, it is not going well. However, if Luke Skywalker can be redeemed in the next episode, that is really complicated to tell, because again, without Carrie Fisher being there, you know, Han is gone, and there's talk that Obi-Wan might come back. Obviously, again, they're going to try to use the original characters to see if they can bring audiences back. But anyways, this is the end of the article. This is my opinion on Luke Skywalker. Drop a comment below. Let's talk about it. Don't forget to leave your thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. How he found the tragic this community. Oh my God. Community. Sci-fi. Okay, let's do this again. Side of